pros and cons to the Baylor versus TCU game. I had to calm down a lot. After this, because of the controversy, and I'll explain the controversy in a minute. I'm going to go over the cons first just to get rid of the negatives. No points off that one turnover by TCU on offense. Of course, one interception by Blake Shapen near halftime in scoring range. That would have been another chance at a field goal or even to get a touchdown right before half. The defense allowed 29 points. The defense allowed 20 first downs. The defense allowed 442 yards. The defense allowed 327 passing yards, which were some chunk plays and busted coverages. The defense had 0 sacks in this game and 2 quarterback hurries. Tay Barber for TCU had 5 receptions for 108 yards. And the last negative for me is John Mayer's missing that 46-yard field goal. It was just short. If he had another 5 yard, if he would have put a little more leg on it, he would have got it. Now, I'm going to explain the controversy once I go over the pros. The offense did much better in this game. They had 28 points, which could have been more, of course. $25 first downs in the game. They needed one more, though, to win. 6 for 14 on third down. 2 for 30 on fourth down. Of course, it should have been, I wish it was 7 for 14 on third down, and they could just run out the clock at the very end. Because the final score was 29-28. TCU made a field goal as time expired. And if Baylor would have got one more first down on offense, game over. But there was a little controversy on that fourth down, which I'm going to go over. The offense had 501 yards of offense, 46 rushing attempts for 232 yards with 3 touchdowns. Blake Shapen had 21 completions out of 30, which is 70%, for 269 yards and with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. If you could just take away the pick right there, he had a great day. But even with the pick, it didn't really matter because TCU didn't score anything, which that's a pro in the game. Craig Squirrel Williams had 19 rushing attempts for 112 yards and 3 receptions for 5 yards. Richard Reese had 10 rushing attempts for 56 yards with one touchdown and 1 reception for 4 yards. Quaylen Jones had 5 rushing attempts for 30 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 reception for 4 yards. Monterey Baldwin had 6 receptions for 123 yards and 3 rushing attempts for 10 yards. Josh Cameron had 3 receptions for 68 yards. Kelsey Johnson had 1 rushing attempt for 2 yards, which was a touchdown, and 3 receptions for 30 yards with 1 touchdown as well. The offensive line only allowed 1 sack in the game, which was a trick play that was busted up and got too cute. The offense only had like 2 pass breakups in the game. The defense didn't allow any points on turnovers. The defense allowed 27 rushing attempts for 115 yards in a game. So the defense was 4 for 10 on third down, which it could have been a little bit better if I'm being honest. The defense had 3 pass breakups. Devin Neal had an interception. Special teams only allowed 41 yards. Noah Rauschenberg had 4 touchbacks out of 5 kickoffs. So Monterey Baldwin had 4 kickoff returns for 69 yards. John Mayers made all 4 extra points. Isaac Power had 4 punts for 188 yards, which along was 50 yards. There was no injuries in the game. 3 penalties for 14 yards. Baylor dominated time possession, 33 minutes, 58 seconds to 26 minutes, 2 seconds. Now, here's what I consider a little controversy and questionable. On that last punt by Baylor at the end of the game, I'm going to have to go over this and I want to make it clear as possible on what happened. They were over the long snapper when Baylor didn't sub when they had the punting unit on. TCU had 12 men on the field. And if there was no refs over the long snapper or near him, and we would have punted it anyway, that would have been 12 men on the field, defense. That's enough yards for a first down. That would have been a ball game right there. That's questionable. But after looking at the replay of the game, besides being at the game, that guy did it on, it seemed like on accident. But he needs to learn not to be there. And there was a question, but that's, so as you could tell, I'm not going to say that's the only reason why TCU won this game. They made more plays than Baylor did, and Baylor didn't make enough plays, and just didn't execute when they needed to. And I know you could say Blake Shapen should have thrown the ball to Ben Simmons, but he valued protecting the ball at that situation on that third down play, and if he would have not slid so early, a little bit early, that might have been a first down. I don't know. You can't just say the game is exactly on Blake Shapen or on the defense. It's a combination of everything. So let's just face the facts. This team has had 3 one-possession losses this year. I mean, the BYU game, this game, and the West Virginia game. And I'm going to say this about TCU. You're probably going to beat Iowa State next week, but I'm not sure about the Big 12 title game. The way you played today, I don't see you winning that game. I'm not just saying that because I don't like TCU, but you got to admit, Kansas State should have beat you the first time. And not only that, I believe Kansas State has a better quarterback in terms of passing, and he won't be thrust into that situation of being like Adrian Martinez instead, because Adrian Martinez might be out for a few weeks. So I think Will Howard in that offense for Kansas State is going to give TCU some issues. And the defense is better than TCU. As you could tell by the numbers here, what Baylor did today, they pretty much laid a game plan out for Kansas State, or even, I don't know about Iowa State defeating TCU, but who knows? I just don't see it with the Iowa State offense they have. But Kansas State, I could definitely see it. But if TCU gets to the college football playoff, I don't think they'll win. Not against Georgia or anybody else. That is if they go undefeated. They barely survived today. Once again, they have not really looked great. They barely beat a 5-loss team now. And I know 5 losses, but 3 of those were one possession. So the record is better than it shows. So let's just put this game behind us, Baylor fans, and focus on Texas, who just dominated Kansas easily in Lawrence. I just want to go over the pros and cons, and I'm not going to say the refs cost Baylor the game. That was a little bit part of it, but I will also say all the other issues were there. We just didn't execute. And you can't blame this on Jeff Grimes or Blake Shapen. It's on everyone. John Mayers even missed a field goal. If he would have made that field goal, we would have been in much better shape at that point in the game. Because then TC would have to go for a touchdown and not just for a field goal in that situation. And the defense did stop them on that 2-point conversion too, which is a positive, but it turned out that it didn't work out. So let's focus on Texas coming up, and regardless what happens, we're going to a bowl. It's not like we're going not to make a bowl game here. We're just young, and I expect the skill positions at wide receiver and running back to be better a year from now. And the thing is, if you want Kyron Jones in the game, the problem with him is he's inexperienced, just like Blake Shapen is. I'm just putting that out there right now. And we should be better in the secondary as well. Now, we're going to have to figure out on the defensive and offensive lines, of course. And maybe even a linebacker a little bit. And hopefully we go into the during the break for the bowl and improve a little bit. But let's try to focus on Texas. Finish the year strong. That's all we could do. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get to 400 subscribers or more by the end of this year or sometime in the future.